Let's bring in the founder of Hollywood Unlocked, Jason Lee. Let's bring in former attorney for Diddy, Mark Geragos, and civil attorney, Misty Marris. We're going to have like a trifecta of perspective on this. Jason, I start with you. What do you make of the suggestion of this kind of expanding probe of the Combs family now to include the son?
Yeah, the last time I was here, Chris, everybody reacted to what I said about I think this is just too fast to rush to judgment on the kids who are good kids, and they were mad. And I just want to remind people of the history in this country where you've seen the president say that the Central Park Five should be put to death when they were found not guilty later. We saw Emmett Till murdered when he was accused of doing something that he didn't do. Mark Geragos, we know, is a respected attorney for years. And this person, Tyrone Blackburn, is a clown. I've told everybody publicly when I secretly recorded a conversation with him where he tried to use Rolling Stone to drag me into Tiffany Haddish's stuff, who was a friend of mine, that he's doing this new method of using the system to work against celebrities to put the most outrageous claims out there that they have to fight in the public while they lose everything and corner them into having to settle. It's just, it should be illegal. It's unethical, and it's an embarrassment that it's a black man doing it to black people, because if you look at all the people he's done it to, Nicki Minaj, Tiffany Haddish, now Diddy and his sons, and even before that, T.I. and Tiny, there's something, in my opinion, criminal. And he recently just got held accountable by a judge who said that, you know, this is his method of how he's going about forcing them into settlements. So it's almost extortion at best. And I personally am not a fan of Tyrone.
Mark Geragos, you obviously are well schooled in how this can go either way, representing people who have been wronged or representing people the wrong way. You see both of it all the time. Are you suspicious of this suit because of who counsel is?
You know, I spent the day today, to the previous guest's point, I spent the day today basically talking to a lawyer who, and I represent a very well-known person, who said, you can either pay me today or we're going to file, and it doesn't matter if we win, we're going to, we're going to destroy the kid's life, and he's never going to get through it. You know, that to me is, I tend to agree, it should be criminal. However, the law protects people with all kinds of immunities. Just like officers get immunities in excessive force cases, lawyers get generally immunities. The problem here is that this gentleman may or may not, at least according to the judge, he couldn't find that this gentleman had ever been admitted in the Southern District. That's kind of strike number one. Strike number two is this is a scurrilous lawsuit at best. What has happened here is lawyers have gathered the idea that you get an immunity, you get a protection, a cloak of nobody can sue me because I've got this, the cloak of it's in a litigation privilege. And that litigation privilege allows you to defame, to scurrilously attack. And by the way, most of the things that were said in that supposed lawsuit, which everybody was all breathless about, are demonstrably false. People have come out and said that didn't happen. 50 Cent's ex says that didn't happen. And I remember, Chris, you're old enough to remember the original Ray Donovan. And for people who think it was the TV series, I'm talking about one of the guys in the cabinet. And after he was acquitted in Washington, D.C., he came out on the courthouse steps and he famously said, now, where do I go to get my reputation back?
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what? Sadly, I am old enough to remember that. I'm glad I can't say that I covered it, but it was pretty close. All right, so Misty, let's all right, don't hurt yourself laughing at me there, Geragos. So let's flip it around now. Let's take Mark's point and literally invert it, which is if these allegations, forget about counsel, are to be taken seriously, What kind of piece in the puzzle of the overall probe of Sean Combs could this be?
Right. So absolutely, Mark makes great points. Those conversations happen all the time. It can be very frustrating in the legal world. But let's talk about these allegations in this lawsuit, as you said, Chris. So these allegations will go through the discovery process in a civil lawsuit. And in the complaint, what we see here is what is alleged to be contemporaneous proof and documentation relating to the allegations that are being made against Diddy's son. So if that all ends up being true, and there is corroborative evidence, this could be a successful lawsuit in court. Of course, it takes the discovery process to get there. Now, how does this fit into the overall puzzle of the legal issues relating to Diddy? So keep in mind, when that raid happened, we didn't necessarily know who the targets were, if there was one target, if there were other targets, what's in that probable cause affidavit that served as the support for that raid. So this could all be more part and parcel of those sex trafficking type allegations, which the federal Homeland Security would be looking into. Because that agency is involved, it's likely that that is the probe that's being conducted by the government.
Jason, where are his friends?
You know, it's interesting that you said that, because this is a home that I've been to for different parties, and everybody in the city has tried to get into, because on the other side of those walls are the Beyoncés and the Jay-Z's and the most powerful people in the industry that you've read about in the lawsuit. And I've seen them actually hire extra security to prevent people from getting in. So the silence is deafening. But I will tell you, the culture that I'm so proud to represent in terms of our culture, Black culture and entertainment culture, you know, cancel culture is a real deal where people are afraid of catching it. And it's almost as deadly as COVID in this industry, where most people that don't want to speak out because they don't want to get dragged into it. You know, when I hear her talk about this lawsuit, if you have people on the yacht allegedly recording acts of criminal behavior, rape, attacks, or whatever, why are you recording it for entertainment purposes to listen to later? Why didn't you file something in 2022? Not the victim, but the person who allegedly recorded it. You know, I have 5 sisters, and I would protect them to the death of me. And so I don't want to victim shame or in any way come off saying that I don't believe anything that anybody said. But you can be evil and the devil in terms of what they say about Diddy socially and not be doing the things that they're now saying his son allegedly did, where it just doesn't add up to people like me who actually know them.
Last question, not necessarily fair, but I love Mark Geragos's measure of when he will be looking at cases and he has to ask himself on a gut level, Misty, is this guy good for it? Is he good for the case they're trying to make? What does your gut tell you now, Mr. Geragos, about whether Combs is going to be good for what the feds seem to be cooking up?
Look, he's facing a tsunami here. I mean, it is, I don't want to underestimate for a second, when you've got Homeland Security ratcheting it up to this point, doing this kind of a spectacle. They're putting on, you've heard me say this to the point where you probably want to slap me, Chris, but they're sending a message, and the message is, we're serious, we're coming for him, and you better get in line or you're going to be next. That's the message they're sending to witnesses. If that's the message, I would expect that somebody somewhere is going to start singing from their script, and I would expect that then you're going to see a war. You're going to see a legal war. And whether he's good for it, I'll tell you this. There's a lot of things you can say about Sean. He's a fantastic businessman. He is firm and resolute in what he does. I have known Sean for over a decade. I've represented Sean repeatedly. Never have I gotten a whiff of child sex trafficking or some of these wild things that I've heard. By the way, I have been to at least one of his white parties, as I think you have, Chris, but I don't remember seeing you there.
No.
I don't remember
I
seeing
haven't.
you there.
Don't you lump me in
I've been there.
with you elites.
I'm
Okay.
going to lump you in. I think I saw you on the couch. You were behind the couch, and you were at about a .25.
That's where I met you, Mark.
You did not see me there. You did not see me in a white party.
I saw Mark. I saw Mark there.
Oh, all right. Yeah. That's what I'm talking about.
I was there.
All right, finish your point,
and I
please.
will tell you something. They were epic. They're epic parties. Everybody wanted to be there. I mean, they were fantastic. But I did not see, I mean, maybe there was a so-called safe room, but I didn't see anything where people were being ushered into rooms and videotaped so that they could be blackmailed later. I mean, that is just so far-fetched, given the amount of security that is there.
It's a great part of the mythology. We see it in the Epstein case. I'm still waiting. I've never seen a trafficking case where it seemed like nobody benefited from the trafficking. And we'll see what they can do here, because to Misty's point, we can only know what they eventually show. They start off with a very low bar when it comes to probable cause, even an indictment. But we'll see, and I'm going to stay on it because I'm very skeptical of what's happening here. Misty Marris, thank you very much. Mark Geragos, Jason Lee. I'm glad you didn't go bad on me there, Jason. I thought you were going to side with Geragos because he got all the shine. He gets invited to the parties. I was worried, but you held the line, and I respect that. And Geragos, if anybody ever came near you, I'd be snapping wrists like toothpicks. Every time I see you, I just want to kiss you and hug you. You're the best. Take care. Just under 4 minutes, 5 seconds. We're going to